Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and this is my retirement field. So somewhere in this field, someday, will be a small retirement house. So my wife has said it's going to be a small retirement house, but she did not limit me as to how big my garage could be as long as it's detached, as far as, repair type garage. But the project for now, I guess before we get a lot of snow, is to establish sort of the view of the mountains that we want. This field is basically the high point of my property, just over that knoll. You can see the top of a telephone pole, but that sort of goes down. And then over on that side, it goes down as well. So there's quite a flat area here, relatively flat. There's a big pile of topsoil right there that's all grown up. I will be adding to that. That's sort of sod that I've removed for various projects over the years. But what we'd like to do is expand the view here a little bit so we can see the mountains all the way to the edge of our property to the right, and to the edge of the property, well, not to the edge of the property, but to the edge of the mountain range, and or looking at the back side of our current house, which we may or may not own in the future, who knows. So what I'd like to do is remove most of these bare trees now. They're poplar, quaking aspen, and leave the fir trees, which you can see a couple of them right there. Same over there. There's a lot of deciduous trees that are blocking that sort of section of the mountain range, but I will leave the fir. It'd be nice to have some sort of blocking for some things, like you don't want to necessarily see the road. There's a small house across the road, but a lot depends on where the house is, how high it sets, how much we see versus what might be blocked by the curve of the land. So basically I'm here next to that row, if you will, or this little cluster, this stand of popple, a bit closer. So this is a mowable field up to here. There's a rock wall in here, and then mowable field on the other side. So I'm going to take these trees down. These popple all end up being firewood. I don't think there's really any big enough to be any meaningful sort of a saw log, and there's a bunch of small pole sized trees over there. So most of this will come down, but I'm not going to take any more down that way. That won't increase the view. At some point, the view is going to be interrupted by that line of trees there, which is my property line. So I'm not going to go any further there. I'm guessing the driveway, the retirement driveway, will scoot along the field and go through here at some point. So I'll take down enough trees to make a driveway through. Sort of my longer term plan, probably not for this fall, is to, once I take care of the trees that I want to, is remove these rocks. Not that I necessarily want to make this a mowable field or anything like that. I may, I don't know, but I think it would be good to remove these rocks. I could probably use them elsewhere or just store them somewhere. And then have this a bit more open. There are several fir trees. You can see some more mature ones there, probably 10 or 15 years old. There are some smaller ones here around that I've noticed. And this one here is obviously a decent one. I think there are some saplings, but if there aren't now, I'm sure once I open it up to more direct sunlight in the summertime, there'll be a bunch of fir that'll grow here. Small one there, a bunch over there. So the fir are very prolific. They're like bunny rabbits. They like to reproduce and in large number, which is fine. They're a nice tree to have. They look good all year round. And they grow fast, so if some get too tall and start interrupting an area that we want to sort of be able to look at from our front porch, and there's really no big deal cutting them down because there'll be others soon to take their place. So this is the other side of that field. You can see there the mountains. In fact, you can't see them as much because we're a bit lower elevation. That's the ski area called J Peak right there. My finger's pointing. The back side of the house we live in now. And then another look at the retirement field where the small retirement house will be. I started doing some of this, not much. You can see a couple, there's an apple tree in there as well as some poplar. There was one elm growing right next to that fir tree. I took that down. Well, the sun is setting. So there's sort of a nice sunset over there behind the clouds. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. It may be. I'd have to go back to where the likely house site is and sort of eyeball it, but that may be enough. If not, it's probably just another 2 or 3 trees. So these small ones here, I'm just going to pick up by hand with my ATV trailer. These bigger ones are sort of scattered over. Some of these I can consolidate like that one. But some of these big ones like that red maple, just a little bit too big for me to manhandle, so I'll just come pick it up with a grapple. That one over there on the other side of the field. But it's easy to see, maybe a bit easier to see the stone wall. Not sure why they call it a wall. It's really not a wall. And over there had more sunlight. There were less trees over there, so it's got a lot more brush. It's more hidden. There's a lot of good rocks here I can use elsewhere. It's hard to tell how much there is. There's probably a lot more than meets the eye. But you can see a lot of nice fir in there. What I want to grow. And if you're not careful, you can miss a lot of them. That one there. Over here somewhere was a small one that I almost stepped on. Oh. There's a little one there. Anyhow, they're all over the place, and there'll probably be even more once there's a bit more light. One there. Okay, well, I'll check this out probably on a different day when the sun is coming up rather than going down. I know I have a lot more of the same sort of thing to do over there, but it's a lot more scattered. There's a rock wall that goes left and right, and then this one here continues that way. So I'll remove some of those, mostly popple. Well, we're back at it. The sun is not rising, but it's currently not setting. Plus, it'll be difficult to see with the cloud cover. I did go back and look at the house site somewhere over there as to how many trees I need to take down to maximize the view before, you know, the other trees there along the property line interrupted anyhow. And I actually have quite a few more. I was sadly mistaken before, thinking I was close to the end. I'm thinking I have to take almost everything over to that larger fir tree right about there. Well, that'll do it for now. Till the mountains come back, and I can see if I need to take a couple more of those. But I'm thinking at the most 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe some of these small ones. But we'll wait till the mountains come back, and I'll bring you back. You can take a look. If I do have to cut some more, I don't think there's much value in recording it. Normally we pick up the brush by hand, but this is a lot more than normal as far as stuff that we'd like to clean up. You know, in the woods, when you make this much brush, you just leave it there and it becomes part of the soil. But I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Probably I'll just stick it in the corner and let it rot somewhere. But I don't really have an implement for that. May have to look for one of those grapple buckets. For my tractor, the stone wall is a bit more visible now, I think. The other thing that's interesting, at least maybe far back it's more obvious, but you take down the deciduous trees and all these firs sort of hiding underneath sort of pop up into visibility. So the clouds are covering part of the mountains, but I think I'm all done over here. Anything to the right of those trees there that I left are going to be blocked by trees behind it anyhow that are sort of on the property line between me and my neighbor, and I'm not going to cut those down. So that's all we're going to get in that direction, but over here there's a bit more to be gained as far as views of the little mountain range. We don't have big mountains here in Vermont, we just have little mountains, but they're mountains none the same. So there's a lot of tiny little trees there I'm going to take down, and all that work is probably better left to time lapse. So we'll set up a time lapse and we'll see you later. So with these big trees gone, that is most of the work of clearing. Couple trees right there I'm going to take down. What I don't know is if I need to go further and take those down as well. I'll probably consult with my supervisor about that. So these were by far the biggest trees that I've cut here along these stone walls. Red maple here, plus this is a double. Each of these stems was about 1 foot in diameter. It's black cherry. The base of it was about 26 inches in diameter. Again, each stem was probably about 1 foot or so, 11 inches. These pasture type trees are a bit of a challenge because there's not a lot of straight wood in them, and this will be firewood. So it's a bit of a challenge to find straight pieces that will be nice to stack and burn and so forth. The bigger ones I'll pick up with my log trailer. They're cut to 16 foot even because I burn, well, whether you're burning 16 inch, I think 18 inch fit, 24 inch. So I know 16 inch and 18 inch, I'm sorry, 16 inch and 24 inch fit in evenly into 16 foot. So when I process it on my firewood table, that works out well. You may notice this funny little cuts here, and what I do when I think of it is, since I cut 2 feet, I'll cut a stem off right there, so that's 2 feet. So I'll cut that off and then I'll split it. I mean, that one's pretty straightforward. This one's a bit different. Here, the 2 foot mark was, well, I think this is a 10 foot mark on this particular log was right there. So I could have cut that and then cut this off, but I just went up to 12 feet. So this will be cut there, and then I'll just put that on the splitter and split the two. So So yeah, there are some funny looking branches like that on a lot of my stems, particularly these ones in the field, like that one. Just because they have so much sunlight all around, the branches grow out. They don't have to just grow up like they do in the woods, you know, in a more dense forest where they're seeking the light straight upward. All right, well, I'm going to take down those handful of trees right there. This little one here, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Probably a bush. And then probably call it good for now until I consult with my supervisor. A couple things I want to mention before I forget back here at the house. One is my orange vest. That's just so I'm less likely to be shot. This is deer hunting season for 2 weeks here in Vermont. This area is it's very good hunting grounds. My dead end road, the traffic probably quadruples. That's 4 times, I think, during hunting season. So there's a lot of activity around here. So whenever I'm out sort of beyond my backyard, I'll wear orange. The other thing is pants. These are chainsaw pants, and regardless of what I have on, if it's the orange jumpsuit or coveralls or bib overalls or insulated coveralls, I'm always wearing my chainsaw pants underneath. They do have the Kevlar inside the pants. The brand name is Fanner. It's a P there. It's a German company. Same brand as my helmet, which I really like. So good company, but just be prepared to pay a lot if you're going to go that route. Well, at least for now, that white birch was, or gray birch, was the last tree. I may take down some of those. That's that little clump to the left from the vantage point up there where that dirt pile is, the potential house site. But yes, you can see this rock wall a lot better. It's actually quite wide. There's rocks over there by that stump all the way over to there. That's probably a 20-foot span. But the other thing that I'm encouraged by are the amount of little fir seedlings. So I'm going to leave these larger trees here, even though they do interrupt the view a bit, as well as that elm, just because elms are nice looking. But the more mature fir just for seed crop, because I do want to cover this area in more with fir. Next year I'll take the excavator and take some of these big rocks out. I'm not looking to make it mowable field or anything like that, because I do want it to grow up just like those over there. But it just might look better, easier to mow around if we choose to. A little seedling there. This one here, so it was suppressed quite a bit with light, but any of those small ones that exist, now that they have full access to sun, will probably take off. There's one buried in the brush. With it more sunny here is that any seeds that drop are much more likely to germinate. There, there's all kinds of them over here. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. So this is probably the likely house site somewhere in this area. So from this vantage point, probably have cut down all the trees that I need, save maybe one or two of those to the right of that clump there where the first fir is and some other deciduous trees are. But for the most part, see all that we can see. And my purpose in sort of letting some of those small fir grow right along there is just to hide the back of our house. I don't know if we'll still own that house if we move back here, if we'll sell it, if we'll rent it, I have no idea. But if we want the house a bit further back, which certainly can, it's pretty much flat, so as far as elevation goes, it doesn't start to dip until just beyond those stakes with the pink ribbon. But if we do move back, then I can't do much more about that over there, but I can remove some more trees over there to see that little, the mountain range, Appalachian, sort of the northern part of the Appalachian Trail. You can see it does sort of go behind those other trees, that clump that I pointed out just a bit ago. So we may still take that down, but I'll consult with the supervisor. So for now, clouds are rolling in. It's getting late. It's kind of dark because of the clouds and the fact that it's probably an hour or two away from sunset. So I'm going to take some drone shots and show the areas that I cut and show the mess that I left, both piles of firewood as well as the tops, the brush, from the drone. But I'll wait till tomorrow or some other day where it's a bit more clear and a bit brighter. So stay tuned for that overhead pics, the overhead shots, and thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. As it turns out, the only time I had to do this overhead shot was after it had snowed some. So you can still see the firewood logs, the 16-foot sticks that I'll cut up for firewood, but a lot of the brush and the tops you really can't see. They're either hidden under the snow or they sort of blended in with the grass. But anyhow, this does give a decent shot of the area where I was working and the view that I was trying to make visible.